Good morning, Monmouth family.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to E Squared. I'm Emily Maxim, your co-host, with the one, the only, the talented Broadway. Here comes Broadway, Elena Wharton.
Oh, goodness. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Hi, everyone.
We're so excited to be here. But first, before we get started with our show, we have a special request from someone on TikTok, one of our fans. Shout out to Logan Henderson Lover 1234 for picking this Big Time Rush song of the week. Today we're gonna play "This Is Our Someday" by Big Time Rush. Thank you to Logan Henderson Lover 1234 via TikTok. And that was. Sorry about that.
That was a little preview of a Big Time Rush song called Honey.
That was This Is Our Someday by Big Time Rush.
Yeah, what a bop. That's like, that one's a classic. If everyone out there, if you don't know this, then we're just going to tell you right now that This Is Our Someday was not on Spotify for a very long time.
Yeah, so like when you mentioned the song, I thought, wait a minute, it's not on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked for it, and it ended up being on Spotify.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it, but just like, Paralyzed, like we discussed last week, This Is Our Someday, all of a sudden it just like showed up on Spotify. It was a song that was never on there, but it was, it was on the show and everything, and it was like, I feel like it's just such a happy bop, and it's found its home on Spotify, and I'm very happy about that. Real quick, before we get into our main topic of this show, I just wanted to talk about an experience I had over the weekend. A friend of ours invited me and my sister to go see a comedy improv show, but it wasn't just any sort of normal like comedy show. So it's called Comedy Sports, sports with a Z at the end, and it's pretty competitive. It's like a competitive sport, but with improv. And let me tell you, it was so incredibly impressive. Like, I left there knowing that I had laughed, that I had a good time. It's called Comedy Sports Jersey Shore. Their Instagram is CSZ Jersey Shore. If you want to check them out, they have their improv shows every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. at the Jersey Shore Arts Center. So I just wanted to plug that real quick.
That sounds really cool.
It was like so fun.
Yeah, I love improv. I remember seeing an improv show way years back on a cruise ship.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like thinking, because like I know with, I'm probably wrong, but I know like most of the things you have to like do on the spot with improv, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so what they would do is they took and this is, like just standard improv stuff, but they would take suggestions from the audience, and they would play their games or construct their scenes based off of what we gave them, and everything was made up on the spot.
I would not be able to do that.
It's so scary.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, as an actor, I've done improv in, like, theater classes and stuff, and it's a very terrifying thing when, when the teacher asks, like, who wants to go first? It's like, no one wants to go first for that sort of thing. Yeah, but that was really fun.
That sounds fun.
I was like, oh, let the professionals do it. I'll just sit here in the audience.
Like I said, I would not be able to do that because I am very indecisive, and so I'll be like, wait, should I do this? Should I do that on stage? So.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's, and you have to make sure that the flow keeps going with whatever scene partner you're working with. But they did a great job. They have classes at the Jersey Shore Arts Center for improv, and I'm assuming that you will go through those improv classes, and then eventually if you want to join Comedy Sports, that's probably an option for you. I think they have auditions to be on their team. I was like stalking their Instagram a little bit. But yeah, it was super cool.
I bet you want to join.
You know what? I don't know. It would be fun though. I'd have to think about it. It was really intense. You'd be surprised at how like it was so competitive.
I like I said, I would not. I want to do acting, but I cannot do improv.
Oh my gosh, improv is like it's a scary thing because all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, what do I say next? You just have to like not worry about it and just see where the scene goes. And then sometimes it flops. Sometimes improv doesn't work all the time. It won't work 100% of the time.
Right.
Well, not that I didn't phrase that like in a good way, but sometimes it just won't work.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it does. Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, you really hit the nail on the head. Like that was a great scene. Yeah. Anyway, that was just a little side note. But today we're going to be talking about some of our concert experiences.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I am so excited to talk about this. Like, we have notes down, kind of like a list of concerts that we have gone to see, and I can't wait to talk about a ton of them. Do you want to start with, that Big Time Rush show in New York?
Yes.
Because I know we've mentioned it a lot before, but if you haven't listened to our previous shows, we went to go see Big Time Rush during one of their first comeback shows.
And it was impossible to get tickets, and there was, I believe, 3 or 4 of us at the time trying to get tickets, and we kept getting kicked out of, like, the queue. If you ever bought tickets online and it's, like, a huge show, there would be a queue. And so we all got kicked out, and then Elena said, I don't know how, but I'm almost up. I'm, like, almost up ahead. So because of Elena, we all got to go see, like, one of their first comeback shows.
It was so crazy because I got kicked out at first too.
Yeah.
And I was texting my mom. I'm like, oh my gosh, all hope is lost. I got kicked out. Whatever, like, messages it was giving me on Ticketmaster, I'm like, it's no use. And she's like, no, you go back in there. She's like, hit refresh and try again. So I waited a bit. I moped around a little bit. I was a little sad because I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get Big Time Rush tickets for me and my friends. But then, I decided to, muster up the courage and go back into the Ticketmaster void. And I ended up going through. All of a sudden, I saw, like, people in front of me in line, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happening. And, when you get to a certain point in the Ticketmaster queue, if you're lucky enough to be close enough to the front of the line, eventually it'll start to go really fast.
Yes.
Once you start getting to the front. And that was the first time that me on my own, I had dealt with a Ticketmaster queue like that. Oh my gosh, it feels like a huge battle.
It is.
I still don't know how, like, the Ticketmaster has chosen me. It felt like so much pressure. And I'm like, oh guys, where do we want to go? Because it was all general admission, right?
Yeah.
And you could choose seats either in the was it like first and second balcony? Were there 2 balconies?
Yeah, we were in the second one, I believe.
Yeah. I'm like, do we want floor? Do we want a balcony? What do we want? We picked the balcony because, it was nice to have seats. Sometimes it's just nice to have a place to sit. And we ended up, it was at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York. And it's a pretty small space. So no matter where you were, it was a great show.
It was. And one thing I never saw before with general admission is usually general admission is on the floor, and then in the seats you pick out your seats, but for this one it was general admission all around.
And I was confused with that too, because usually when I'm looking for tickets on Ticketmaster, you can look at the map and you choose which seats you want, and I was just so surprised that for an area with seats, it didn't have an option to, like, pick exactly where you wanted to sit.
Yeah. And like Elena said, like, you had good seats all around. It was slightly smaller, but it wasn't too bad. Like, I didn't mind where we sat. And I think, like, the floor ones, weren't they more expensive anyway? I think they
were.
Yeah,
they might have been, because we had to look at, like, okay, how much are we willing to pay for these tickets? And it's tough because that was when Big Time Rush was like, hey, we're back. And Big Time Rush is beloved by so many people across the world.
It is.
And, it was a huge deal when they came back. And we were so lucky to get that show, even though we only saw 3/4 of Big Time Rush technically.
Yeah. So, do you want me to explain it?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, the show was supposed to start at 8. And right at 8 o'clock, they said, can we have your attention? So we were like, what's going on? Like, we thought, okay, maybe it's starting. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, oh, yes, here it is. And then once the announcer was like, we have an announcement, I'm like, oh, no.
They were like, the announcer said, due to, like, during regular testing, whoever doesn't know, like, the members is Kendall, James, Carlos, and Logan. During regular testing, they said Kendall tested positive for COVID. So we were sitting there like, what? Because, like, especially since in, like, during when they were first recording, Kendall had most of the lead in the songs.
Yeah, so they had to kind of adjust who was going to sing what part. And there were certain times where it was like, okay, help us out, Kendall's part. And then I remember in the song No Idea specifically, it was like tragic because Kendall has that like big solo in No Idea.
Yeah.
He's got like a big part in that song. And like people in the audience were like harmonizing along and like singing Kendall's big part along with them. And I'm like, oh, how nice. And they had to adjust all their choreography too. Whew.
I would be panicking on stage if I was them, because I know, like having it, like I said, it was a little bit different not seeing everybody, but I was still grateful to be there, especially like, you know,
Absolutely.
it was, yeah, and like that was the first concert, well, I personally went to since COVID happened.
I think me too.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No, I went to like at least one other like smaller concert, but
Right.
that was probably one of the bigger things that I had done
Yeah.
since all of that. Yeah.
And well, when we went, that was when, because like we got the tickets I think in July, and the show was in December.
Yeah.
It was a week before. It was literally a week before Christmas, and that's when like Omicron was starting up. This is December 2021. Omicron was starting up, so like, you know, we didn't know what was gonna happen at the time, since you know it was July when we bought it, and you know that was when Omicron I don't think existed. So,
and
yeah.
I'm just glad they didn't like send us home, because that's what I thought was gonna happen.
I would have cried.
I would have cried so bad. But then transition. Luckily, we got to see all 4 members of Big Time Rush
Oh my
on the
gosh,
Forever
yes.
Tour.
It
Oh
was-
my gosh.
I loved it.
That was just this past summer.
Yeah. Which date did you go to?
I went to the Hershey show, Hershey, Pennsylvania, which I think was July 1st, and then Atlantic City on July 3rd.
Lucky.
Oh my gosh, I feel so lucky to have like been able to go to that, because they just like dropped a surprise show. They're like, hey, we're going to AC2, and tickets are $20 each, and it's like, wait a second.
I would have went, but I think it was a day. I don't know if it was a Sunday. I'm trying to remember, but I think I had work, and then Atlantic City from where I live, I think it's like, I'm not good with location GPS, but I think it was like an hour and a half away more. And I really wanted to go, but in the summer, since a lot of bands during this summer and still now have been touring, like every single band. So I was trying to like limit how much I spent on tickets, because I went to 3 shows in the summer. And I actually went to the Big Time Rush show June 30th at Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
And it was amazing. Actually, my mom and I went. She knew about Big Time Rush, and I said, Mom, you'll love them. You'll love them. They're really good. She did love the show.
That's so great.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's just the one thing about Madison Square Garden tickets is that we were very up high, and they were still expensive.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so like we were like section 200, but Madison Square Garden, if you sit on the side, you still can see well. But it was a really good show. That was the first time they ever played at the Garden, and then they said they sold it out. And
crazy.
yeah, when they mentioned it, they said this is the first time, like, you know, being here, we sold out the Garden. And they were getting really emotional.
Oh my gosh.
And I loved being there. I was going crazy the whole time, like just singing the songs. I lost my voice, but it was worth it.
The Forever Tour, like amazing production in general, like amazing concert, the effects, the lights, their vocals, their the way that they just present themselves on stage, and it's like, it's Big Time Rush, like they still got it.
Yeah.
And speaking of Big Time Rush at MSG, Big Time Rush announced recently that they filmed their concert at Madison Square Garden.
Oh yeah, right.
And they're doing a live stream of it on November 23rd. So if anyone is interested, I think it's like a $15 ticket to stream.
So yeah.
I can't remember. But if you go to btr.veeps.com, you can get a ticket to stream their concert that was at Madison Square Garden for the Forever Tour. Amazing. And I'm sure it's also like in the bio of their Instagram. I think they have a link tree.
You might see me somewhere in there, up in the nosebleeds.
Yeah, see if you can spot Emily in the nosebleeds. All right. Do you want to take a break? You want to play some music?
Sure. I think I have something in mind. One sec.
Ooh. Well, Emily's getting that. Again, that was btr.veeps.com if you would like to buy tickets to stream Big Time Rush's concert at Madison Square Garden. It was a good one.
I found a song.
Amazing.
So actually, like just before we play it, I actually found this song on Instagram Reels. It's by a guy. His name is all capital letters. It's Jake, but it's JVKE.
I know what you're gonna play.
Yes. And I remember seeing it on a Reels on Instagram. Like if you don't know what Reels is, like they either it's almost like TikTok but on Instagram. They post TikToks, but we're gonna play a song called Golden Hour by Jake. I love it. It's so good. We hope you love it. And like I said, this is Golden Hour by Jake. Apologize again. I'm actually new on the board here.
That's
so,
right.
Yes.
We didn't even mention this is Emily's first day in what I like to call the big chair with the big soundboard in front of her, and she's doing great. This is a big day for her.
Thank you. So if there's any mistakes, I am still learning, but like I said, we're gonna play Golden Hour by Jake. And
that was a clip of another Big Time Rush song called Fall. You see, we're plopping in Easter eggs for you today, aren't we?
I think that was definitely my computer because I kept trying to pause it and it kept saying Spotify wouldn't play this. So.
Oh my gosh, technology.
I am so sorry about that.
That's okay. Again, this is your first time, so and I'm sure like I've definitely had flubs with the sound equipment as well. So.
No, yeah, because I did it last night when I was trying to listen to music. It just said Spotify can't play right now, so that's why
it's like, what do you mean Spotify can't play right now? It's like you're Spotify. You should be able to do these things. Anyway, that was Golden Hour by Jake. Such a beautiful song. Goodness gracious. We're gonna play another song for you guys. I watched Dancing with the Stars last night. This is me mentioning Dancing with the Stars again because I've been following it religiously this season and I love it. And they had the semifinals last night. Every single dance was incredibly impressive. Like I cannot believe it. So I cannot pick a favorite. But there was one dance. Shangela and Gleb Sevchenko, they did a Viennese waltz to the song I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston, and I love that song so much. Hit me right in my feels. So we're going to play I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston for you right now.
And that was I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston. And for those who are just joining in, we're E Squared.
Hello.
With me, Emily Maxim, and
me, Elena Wharton.
And for those who are just joining in again, we were having a discussion about concerts we went to.
Yes.
We were talking about the Big Time Rush show that we both went to together in December 2021. So we're going to talk about concerts more. So, Elena,
yes.
Are there any concerts that you want to talk to us about?
Oh, yes. So very recently, back in September, this is such a huge moment for me because I am so excited to completely fangirl about this group that I absolutely love. So there is a genre of music that some people would refer to as popra, which is a mix of kind of a pop style and an operatic classical style. And there is a popra group called Il Volo, and I love them so much. So it's made up of these 3 Italian guys. They're like literally Italian. They were born in Italy and everything. So it's not like me saying like, oh, I'm Italian. No, like they're like actually like
Italian.
Like yes, they're the ones. They're Italian. Yeah, and they're made up of a group of 3 Italian guys, Gianluca, Piero, and Ignazio, and they all have these absolutely gorgeous voices, and they sing like classical Italian music. They sing songs that a lot of people would recognize, like People from Funny Girl, which is on Broadway right now. They do a version of that song. They've sung My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's so awesome.
It's so wonderful. They sing all these great songs, and I got to see them in Atlantic City. They went to Borgata, and I saw them in like the little theater that they have there. They were traveling with a full orchestra.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, right? And I will never forget like the song that they started with. It's called Ecstasy of Gold. And it's like it's very serious, and they came out, and there weren't any lights on them yet, and then they kind of like stepped out into the light, and it was like my first time ever seeing them in person. And I was like completely flipping out because I've only been a fan for a little over a year now, but my family, like, we have all just like fallen in love with them.
Right.
They're so great. And they, they did a bunch of songs that I had already known, because I listened to a lot of their discography and everything. And we brought my nonna to the show, and there was actually a song that I didn't know and she knew, and she was singing along, and it made me so happy. But yeah, oh my gosh, I can't even describe. I cried multiple times.
I would. Do they just do covers? Do they have their own songs too?
You know what? A lot of what they do is covers, but there are songs that have been written for them.
Oh, cool.
And one example I'd actually like to play right now on this show.
Go for it.
There is a song that they did. If you know the Eurovision contest.
Sounds so familiar. I feel like if I heard it, I would know it. Like, I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's something that they do with like a bunch of different countries, and they all sing songs and such. I don't know much about it. There's definitely a lot more that I can describe, but I know that they performed this song on that contest, and it is one of my favorites. It's hard for me to pick a favorite from them, but it is just so, it is intense. It is so wonderful. It's just like, oh my gosh, I can't even describe. Sometimes I just like can't find words to describe how amazing they are. They really, they put on a really good show, and I'm looking forward to seeing them in the future, because I know like when they come back, I'm definitely going to go see them again.
Yes.
Because it's just like their type of music. It just, it is so different. And it just makes me feel so happy. So just to give you an example of what Il Volo is like, this is a song called Grande Amore. That was Grande Amore by Il Volo. That was so fun playing that on the radio.
I really like that song a lot.
Oh my gosh, it is just so lavish and wonderfully dramatic. I love them so much. And they have such they have such mature voices, and they've sounded like that since they were like 15 years old. Right now they're in their like late 20s. But they've just always had such wonderful like technique, wonderful sounding voices, and they sing in Italian like you just heard. Mm-hmm. And they also sing in English and Spanish sometimes.
Oh, that's cool.
So like they're like trilingual, and they do like they'll do their concert, like they did their concert in English, like they spoke English here, and when they do concerts in Italy they'll speak in Italian, and it's just oh my gosh, there's so much talent in those three. And if you really liked that song, you should check them out. They're called Il Volo. Yeah.
They sounded really good. Like, I'm very bad with words, so if I say cool or good, I mean, like, fantastic, because I
gotcha.
It's, we're on the air. I'm trying to think of words as we go.
Oh my gosh. It's okay. I totally got you. Is there a concert that you would like to talk about, Emily?
Oh, geez. I went to a bunch. Let's see. I guess I'll start from, I'm going to talk about one, and then we're going to, go back and forth. But, I'll talk about one that I loved, and, this was 2018. Mm-hmm. This was, whoever doesn't know, I love Panic at the Disco.
Uh-huh.
And they were doing this thing out of nowhere. They were announcing some surprise pop-up shows. And with Panic at the Disco, they play arenas. They play bigger venues. And this was in March 2018, I believe. And out of nowhere, they said, we're going to be in New Jersey.
Oh my gosh.
And so they were having a pop-up show, but instead of it being a big arena, they were having it at the Stone Pony.
What?
And I love the Stone Pony. Because like I said, I love local bands, local legends. I like going to shows there. And we were on a line waiting to get a ticket, because it was a long line. And,
oh my gosh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, and the Stone Pony isn't that big, so you can only fit so many people. So we waited online. And
how early did you line up for tickets?
I don't know. I'm trying to think, because my brother and my mom were originally online, and then I met up, and then I took my mom's spot. So
was it more like hours, or?
I don't think it was hours. The line moved pretty fast.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so we somehow got a ticket, and so I was freaking out. I love Panic at the Disco. It's not like one of the concerts, where you buy tickets in advance. This was out of nowhere. So we bought the tickets, and then later that night is the concert.
Oh my gosh.
So I saw with my brother Panic at the Disco at the Stone Pony, and like I said, one of my favorite venues. It was an amazing show. We somehow got we were second in the row. We were on the side, so that's the closest I would ever get to them.
Oh my gosh.
It was so good. It was a way to promote like the new album at the time that was coming out, Pray for the Wicked. And then outside, which is funny after the show because their song that came out, like the first song that came out, is called Saturday Night, and so in the song they say pray for the wicked on the weekend. So after the show, I guess because of the wording, there were these girls dressed up as nuns saying pray for the wicked, and they were giving us these little cards, and it was actually showing tour dates. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
it's like, wow.
Yeah, it was. I was just like, wait, why is there a nun here? And but I didn't get to go to a show during that tour, but that concert, like I said, has a special place in my heart.
That's crazy because not a lot of people can say that they were there for that show.
It was like I said, it was sold out. Like not everybody online got a ticket. Because they were very vague at first of where they were playing. Because I think originally, I saw online some people thought they were going to be at a place in another venue in Asbury called the House of Independence. And during that time there was actually like snow going on, so they had to delay it. And I think that's why they moved to the Stone Pony. But like I said, I love both venues. But Stone Pony is always in my heart. I want to see Panic at the Disco again. I mean, he's on the band's on tour right now, but I missed the Madison Square Garden show because I spent kind of a lot of money on concert tickets in the summer, which we will touch up on. But Elena, do you have another show you want to talk about?
Oh my goodness, yeah. So this was last month in October. This is kind of like a smaller thing that I went to. So at Axelrod, which is around here.
Right.
If you are a musical theater person like I am, you might know who Jason Robert Brown is. He is a musical theater composer. He wrote 13 the musical, which is like on Netflix right now. He wrote Parade, which is right now at the New York City Center, I think, doing a revival of that. He wrote Bridges in Madison County. He wrote The Last 5 Years. So he did a little show at Axelrod. And I didn't know if I was going to go at first, but, you know, I ended up getting tickets anyway. Like, you know, it's going to be, you know, kind of a cool once-in-a-lifetime experience because it's not that often that such a well-known composer is just going to be, like, so local and,
right,
you know, just right there to go see. So we went to go see him, and we were in, like, the third row, which is crazy because it's already, like, a small space, and it's like, whoa, like, we were right there. And it was just, like, kind of crazy, like, seeing him walk out onto the stage, like, oh, shoot, like, that's literally Jason Robert Brown. Like, okay, cool. And he played piano because, you know, he's a huge pianist. He's absolutely crazy. And not only that, I wasn't expecting this, but he's like hilarious. He has like such a great sense of humor. He joined TikTok. Like,
really?
That was like the day that he joined TikTok because he had a special guest with him, Michael Kilgore, who, oh my gosh, Jason Robert Brown also wrote Songs for New World. So Michael Kilgore was in the revival of Songs for New World in 2019. And oh my gosh, he is an insane vocalist. And we didn't know that he was going to be with Jason Robert Brown until, like, you know, I don't know if it was like a week or so or maybe a few days before the show. They didn't really say right away that he was going to be joining him. And my sister and I, we knew who he was because we had watched someone like bootlegged the Songs for New World revival, which is totally not legal, but I mean not legal to film it, but you know, if it's on YouTube, like, you know, it is there, but
yeah.
But no, we also listened to like the cast recording of it, and Michael Kilgore, along with like the rest of the cast, so fantastic. So he was there with Jason Robert Brown, and they played obviously Jason Robert Brown songs, and also they did some songs that Michael Kilgore put on his album that he released, and I think it's Grammy nominated album. So not only is he a musical theater performer, but he's also like a Grammy-nominated artist, which is so cool. And I'd actually like to play one of his songs for all of you today. My gosh, his voice is so amazing. And, you know, just being that close to that much power was just like completely unreal. And this recording that you're going to hear right now, it captures his voice so well. He's so talented. but like it'll be hard to believe, but hearing him live is like it's even better. But still, like, wait till you hear these pipes. This is Let Me Go by Michael Kilgore. That was Let Me Go by Michael Kilgore. All right, let's continue this conversation about concert experiences we've got going on here. For those of you who are just joining us, hi. You're listening to E Squared with Elena Wharton and
Emily Maxim.
All right, Emily, let's talk about a couple more concerts that you've been to.
Okay. I'll talk about, I guess, like just the other concerts I went to more recently.
Mm-hmm.
The ones I keep talking about where I spent like a lot of money on concert tickets this summer. As I mentioned before, I saw Big Time Rush on June 30th with my mom. I already talked about this concert a lot. That what I'm going to talk about now. I saw Wallows in New York City, and for those who don't know Wallows, you would know one of the guitarists, one of the lead singers, because they always switch back and forth who sings. His name's Dylan Minnette, and Dylan Minnette, he's an actor. He actually had the role of Clay Jensen in 13 Reasons Why.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it was so like cool seeing him in person. And I love the band. Like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about that one because I always talk about it when we play a Wallow song. But it was really good. We stood on I went with Skylar, who was another guest on the show.
Yes.
And we had general admission floor seats, and it was like a tight venue, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, the one thing that I just would critique on, not the band, but like, like a lot of people kept trying to like cut in front of us, and
Aww.
I don't know, like I remember one of my friends said, general admission in New York is a pain. Because, you have people like that, and then somebody next to me was like dancing like so, like they like sway back and forth so like far that I actually was getting annoyed, and I said, can you please stop shoving me? Because I was just like, I had a lot of fun at the show. I just was getting annoyed because, I think like you're in your spot, don't try to cut in front, and especially since it was at Terminal 5, and Terminal 5 is a small venue. So that's why I was like, stop cutting, stop shoving me.
I know, and you could only there's only so much personal space when you do general admission, like floor type of stuff.
Yes.
It's like you need to preserve all that personal space. So, it's nice of you to be polite to, to the person just kind of like, wow, like bouncing around. Because, I mean, maybe that person was having a lot of fun and not realizing, but that's really nice that you kind of like spoke up like that. It's like, please, you're invading my personal space.
Yeah, because like I know with concerts, especially like if you go to like a metal concert, you have like those things called the mosh pit, and like that's okay. Like in that moment, that's when you can like shove everybody, because you basically are shoving everyone. But I think this guy was with his girlfriend, and like they were just like dancing, and I'm like, there's not a lot of space. And but it was okay. That didn't mess up anything. I loved it.
Good.
Such a good show. The other show I went to in the summer, which I haven't really talked about, is Skylar and I went to see One Republic in the middle of July. They were at PNC Arts Center. And one thing I liked about PNC is that, say if we had really far away tickets, and one thing I like about PNC is that they changed the price again. The last time they did it was like $20, and then it was $10. But today it was the time we went, it was $10. You can upgrade your seats. So we went from like section 300, 400 to section 100. So so like for $10 we got I forgot how much we spent on our tickets anyway. They were pretty cheap. And so for $10 we got to like the down way below, like we were kind of near the stage, not really, but we were so close. And
that's awesome.
I love One Republic. They the singer Ryan Tedder is so talented. If a lot of songs you hear on the radio, he basically like co-wrote. I know he wrote songs for Adele, Lil Nas X. Basically, if you hear a song on the radio, he might have had a part in it.
That's so cool.
Yes, and he is so talented. And then, like, if you don't know One Republic, you definitely have heard songs by them. Like, they have a lot of songs of their own on the radio. And I thought it would be appropriate if we do play a One Republic song. And this is a newer one. It's really good. It's called Run. And so, yes, you're going to be hearing Run by One Republic. And that was run by One Republic.
Yeah. All right, guys. We have reached the end of our show today, but thank you so much for listening to us talk about some recent concert experiences that we've had, some fun times. And don't forget to follow us on our social media. You've been listening to E Squared, so definitely follow us on Instagram at E_WMCX. And if you visit us there, you can find in our highlights, we have guest and music forums. You can be a guest on our show. Or if you're an artist, send us your music and we want to promote you on our show. So you can do that there. We also have a Spotify playlist where we put music that we've played on this show. So if you liked any of the songs, you can go back to our Spotify playlist and check them out. And also, we have a YouTube channel where we place our recorded shows. And we're recording this show, so you'll be able to listen back to this one as well. Yeah, and then Emily's Instagram is at m_max_213. I'm at Elena Wharton. And where we are right now is at WMCX889. Yeah, those are all our socials. Follow us. Make sure you follow us on our radio journey throughout the semester.
Yes, and make sure you tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. for more stories, more laughs, more music, anything.
Yes. Next week we have a Thanksgiving-themed show.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's no really Thanksgiving songs, but we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving, maybe some food, some things that we're thankful for, because it's almost Thanksgiving. Can you believe it? Oh, my gosh.
Already.
Crazy. So, yeah, be sure to join us next week, Tuesday, 11 a.m. for some more E Squared.
Yes, thank you very much. And we're going to end the show with Say Amen by Panic at the Disco.